ethos, kind of the thing that they use as kind of their guiding principle is we are ladies and gentlemen who serve ladies and gentlemen. And I think that is so powerful. And so when you think about that, and you think about that simple statement and how that becomes an ethos that runs throughout the entire organization, I think that's what happens, right? I think that all of a sudden people will latch on to that, and people will start to do things that align with that culture. And I think that's why culture is important. And I would just say one more thing is that, and I think that, we're all figuring it out here, Paul, like it evolves, right? As new technologies come into play and new generations of the workforce come into, our places of business. I think that culture evolves and it shifts, but it's always going to be rooted in the ethos of whatever it is that you began with.
Yeah, the ethos doesn't change. Maybe the avenues in which it does change, but the principles, the first principles, those stay the same. And it's crazy because, I'm pretty sure it frustrates you because, culture needs to be like critical. And I'm pretty sure a lot of small chains and a lot of mom and pop shops, they don't see the value in it, and they choose not to hire or choose not to focus on culture. And I'm pretty sure it's frustrating for you.
No, it is. And, but then it's also super enlightening when I see, a concept get it. Like I'm all about, and actually you said it in there and you kind of switched, but you're right. They choose sometimes not to hire people that they know could be future leaders. So when you're working in an organization or you're working around organizations, I'm sure that you observe this in other concepts. There are people who are afraid to bring people on that are as good or better than they are. Instead of saying, look, it's my mission to hire people that are as good or better than I am. Like that should be what I'm known for. That should be a hallmark of what I do. That's how you protect the culture. That's how you protect the investment. Yeah. And that's how I talk about culture. I talk about protecting the investment and making sure that we don't allow anyone into this family that shouldn't be here. That whatever the characteristics are that we think are important, whatever concept it is, whatever is important to you as the leader, the leadership team, the executive board, whatever those critical components are that you look for in an employee, you never deviate from that, right? That helps you protect the culture, and it helps you to protect that vision that you have.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is a great segue into the next question, which is, so what have you done as you're trying to figure it out, as you're trying to look at culture and go, okay, and I'm trying to figure this out, but you've got it. You've got it because you said it, and I can hear it in your voice. So what have you done to build a strong culture, and how have you connected that culture to the overall vision of the organization?
Yeah. So a couple of it, I guess I'm probably going to be jumping all over the place here, but one of the things is we first off knew that if we wanted to build a large, meaningful organization, we did need to spend a little bit more. We needed to commit to investing in people. And, for our store manager, we hired an overqualified person who was a district manager for other well-known brands. And, we knew that even though that we were overpaying them, we knew that we were building bandwidth for future growth to be able to handle capacity. And so I guess our first thing that we did was we committed to just investing in people better than us and showing them that we are committed to hiring better people by paying them more and paying them better.
You were investing ahead of the business. That's what we talked about a few minutes ago. Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. Yeah.
Bandwidth, right? And so our top person right now, our top director of operations person now in our company, she's actually our employee number one. She's been with us since day one. And
that's amazing. That's amazing. That's huge. Huge.
That is. She's incredible. Her name's ECAT. She we took her from a pretty well-known large brand, and we were actually so shocked that she'd be willing to join our ranks, like this small little startup with food carts as the basis of our concept. But we had
Right.
we had her. She loved us. We loved her. We loved the way she managed, the way she thought about things, the way she saw growth. And we could tell she was loyal. She was committed to certain important things like developing people. So over the 5 years that we've grown with her, she's been able to incubate so many great store managers since then, that have come out of her kind of training program. She meets with all of our store managers on a regular basis. She's always on the road. She gives us reports daily of things that matter. She's an incredible communicator, and I'd say we pay her a lot more than what an industry average is, and we pay pretty good bonuses to her because we know she's worth it. She's been able to pay back in spades, but that took a big, painful outlay of cash early on, and so yeah, I guess that's one of the things that we've done to communicate our growth is we're willing to we want to make sure that your efforts are appreciated, and your management and your leadership is appreciated and rewarded, not just by words, but by by monetary as well as just quality of life as well. Like we've bought we bought trips and we bought vacations because we knew we had crunch time at certain times. We're like, here's a gift to you. Please get away, come back refreshed and ready to keep on doing this as a team. So we make investments here and there for that.
And you have no regrets in doing that at all?
No way. And it's funny,
Yeah.
After we've done it, we're just like, that was a cost that we, most companies would probably be penny pinching about, but the moment we let it go, our stores continue to run profitably, and it absorbed it in no time. And so, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal in the larger scheme of things, right?
If you were to calculate the return on investment on the money that you spent on those sorts of things and rewarding and recognizing your people, your top performers, the ROI is going to be exponentially greater than the outlay of cash it took you to do those things.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't tell me about an actual figure because, again, I'm not the finance guy.
No, I would never do that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is a pop quiz. But yeah, it's paid back tremendously. And I mean, it also ended up allowing us to open the amount of stores that we've opened. We're now the chain's largest franchisee, and I believe we generate the most sales, royalties, and stuff. And it all just goes back to just investing in people. And this is also we have the long game in mind as well. I think another facet that we focus on is just we have the long game in mind. We actually, in our 5 years of doing business, I don't know if this is a poor business decision or whatnot, but we've actually haven't taken out a distribution for ourselves yet. We've continued to just reinvest in our stores. I'm not sure whether that's I don't know if I'm taking care of my family this way, or I'm also partially proud of this too. But
right, it's super smart. From where I sit, I mean, it's super smart because of your view, of the long view that you have about what it is that you want to accomplish. Right, this isn't something that you're doing for a short-term gain. You're looking at the long-term future, and I think that's really smart.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to talk about it with the other way too, because you need to take care of your family and your bases, or else you'll be really distracted, and you'll probably manifest your need for money in other ways. So we're thankful that all of us partners, we have our own other businesses and side income and other things that we've been able to earn our provision from, so that this doesn't get tampered. They always say that when you make a money-based decision, it's always a bad decision. I have to say, every decision we've made so far for the company, we sleep well at night because we knew that wasn't based on short-term gains or anything of that sort. So I have to say I'm really proud of that with my partners.
Love it. So as you think about your long career and all the things you've done and everything that you've had experience with and that you've experienced personally, What piece of advice would you give your 25-year-old self?
Gosh, well, maybe shave a little more. You know what? I have an answer for that. Well, okay, so up until a certain point, I would have said things like, you're only young once. Try and relax a little bit, because like I said, I've always had this strong workaholic mentality, which I feel like I'm paying for now with health issues. So that could be advice. Other advice could be, you'll be working for the rest of your life. Like, try to enjoy it a little bit more while you're still young.
Right.
There's all these things, but I also heard a podcast interview not long ago. Do you listen to Tim Ferriss, the Tim Ferriss show?
I love Tim Ferriss.
Oh my gosh.
So good. So good.
He was actually, he's one of my business heroes, but there was a podcast interview he did with somebody, I can't remember now, but the answer for that, the person's response, like, hit me so hard. He just said, I wouldn't change anything at all. Like, I wouldn't go back and tamper with anything, because it's that butterfly effect thing where, like, everything that's ever happened, whether good or bad, or things that you think you may regret, like, all of those things were the fertilizer to lead you to where you are today. Like, you really don't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, that's true. Like, things always could have been better. I could have chased the shiny object. It could have been fun for a while, or this or that. And so whatever mistakes, whatever issues, I just wouldn't change it. I would just, I would just leave it alone. I don't know if that's the answer you want to hear, but
No. That's good. That's good. Because I think that what you're saying is absolutely true. I think everything that happens to us in our life, as well as the failures, as much as anything else, when we succeed or do really well, but those failures can teach us so much. And, when we look back on certain things that have happened to us in the past, I can certainly look back to several things that I could point to say, if that hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here where I am. Right. And I think that's true personally, as well as what we're doing for work, right? Professionally. Yeah. So I think that's awesome. No, I think that's really good. Like, don't get hung up on, what you were doing at 25, like, and don't try to beat it. Don't try to beat the clock, and don't try to beat the system. Just learn as you go, and make the best possible choices you can in the moment. Right. It is what I think you're saying.
Yeah. So there's no shortage of failures in my life. Like, for example, I've been divorced. I've been, in my restaurant, I've made so many mistakes, like, the crawfish season issue. And I probably made, like, I would quantify it, probably over $1 million of lost opportunity and inefficiencies and mistakes from my first restaurant. But, like, I wouldn't have, without them, I wouldn't have built a stronger infrastructure like I have now.
Yeah.
And I think that your audience, I have no doubt that your audience is trying to improve and better themselves. Otherwise, they wouldn't be listening to your podcast. So I guess I wouldn't put too much pressure on a certain piece of advice. I think it's just, you'll be okay. It'll all turn out okay. Like, tough times don't last, and tough people do. And if you're trying to, like you said, learn, grow, get better every day, like, don't be so hung up on these mistakes. Like, these mistakes are probably supposed to happen. They're shaping you to be who you are going to end up using that for better or for good anyway. So
I think that's super wise. So I really appreciate you sharing that. I saw something the other day on Instagram, and, as I'm kind of scrolling through, and there was this thing on there, and it said, the worst hour of your life is still only 60 minutes. And I thought that was really powerful, right? It's 60 minutes. It's 60 minutes, right? No matter what.
Yeah.
It's 60 minutes. The worst hour of your life.
Oh, I thought you were going to bring up the urinal picture I posted.
Oh, that's hilarious. No, I'm not sure I saw that one, but now you mentioned it, I'll go back and check it out.
No, don't worry about it. No. Or else this
awesome.
podcast will never see the light of day.
There you go. So I know you are a real techie guy. So this next question is around the use of technology. So how do you use technology to influence your leadership impact, but then also within your organization?